Hey everyone, Santiago here, and today's video will be a bit different because today we are talking about the MCU timeline. Now, I've seen a lot of MCU timelines, and from what I've seen so far, none of them have been correct, as in that they put movies at different parts. They say that The Incredible Hulk takes place after Iron Man 2, which it doesn't. So I will, dare I say, that this video will be the definitive list of the MCU timeline. Now, I will also include TV shows, not just the movies, and also the Marvel one-shots. And I might put in the web series as well. I'll see how it goes. But this video will be more than just one part, so I'm just going to lay that out right up front that this video will probably be a lot longer than my normal videos have been. I will also be explaining why each movie and each TV show is where it's at, just so everyone is clear about why I put that placement there. Now, before I begin, let me set up a few ground rules. First off, I will assume that each film and episodes take place at the same time as their release, unless there is a contradiction. Second, I will not include the Agent Carter TV show because it was cancelled and the show didn't really have much consequence to the rest of the MCU, but I will still include the one-shot. Third, this will not be very specific, as in it won't be about events, but it will be about viewing order. And finally, some movies end up at around the same time as other movies, so it'll just depend on which movie ends first. Alright, the first film to come up in the MCU is the movie Iron Man. Now, there is immediately a contradiction with some people saying that Iron Man shouldn't be the first, Captain America, the first Avenger, should be first. I'll get into why Captain America isn't first later, but Iron Man is the first movie in the MCU. There's no denying that it actually is the first movie, and it's a great introduction to the world and to this character Tony Stark, and even at the end it alludes to more to come with Nick Fury saying you've taken your first step into a larger world. So Iron Man is the first film in the MCU. Alright, next up is Iron Man 2. This should become as no surprise to people because the beginning of this movie takes place during the ending of the very first one. So it just makes sense to put this here, and there is that 6-month gap between the beginning and then the rest of the movie, but we'll get into what happened during that 6 months later. And then after Iron Man 2 is the Marvel one-shot On the Way to Thor's Hammer. Now, instead of just pausing during Iron Man 2 and saying, oh, this is where Marvel one-shot takes place, it's better just to end Iron Man 2 and then start the Marvel one-shot, because it becomes just tedious if you have to pause and watch this and then play it again. So that's why I tried not to do the event list. And then after the one-shot is obviously Thor. Thor, if you've seen the end credit scene of Iron Man 2, you see Thor's hammer is found in New Mexico, and also all of the events in Thor, at least where the parts where he is on Earth, happens immediately after Iron Man 2. Now we get into the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk is kind of tricky because during the opening credits, that's like 6 months pass by, and that's what happened during the 6 months between Iron Man and Iron Man 2. So there is a problem there, but remember, my last rule is that if a movie ends first, then that movie will go first. But this movie ends after the movie Thor, so everything that has happened between Iron Man 2 and Thor is already over. So I put it right here in the middle of the first phase of the MCU. And then after the Incredible Hulk is the Marvel one-shot, The Consultant, and if you've seen this one-shot, you know why it's there. It's just pretty much explains the end credit scene of The Incredible Hulk, so that's why it is right after it. Alright, now we get into Captain America the First Avenger. Now, a lot of people will say this movie should be first because most of this movie takes place in World War II, and they are right for thinking about that. But if you really look at it, this movie begins and ends in the present. So basically, this movie is just one big flashback of a movie. And also, this movie deals with the Tesseract. The Tesseract is the MacGuffin that is in the Avengers. So this is a great lead up to the Avengers, and that's why I put it right before the Avengers movie and after everything else. Alright, now for the rest of the movies, in just the movies, it's pretty much smooth sailing from here on out. There isn't any more contradictions with the release dates and what actually happened when. So the next movie is what I've already said, is the Avengers. And then after that movie is the Item 47 one-shot. And there's nothing really else to say about either of these two, because it's pretty straightforward. And then the next one is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 takes place the same year as the Avengers, except it's at Christmas. And then you get the Marvel one-shot All Hail the King. Now, All Hail the King is pretty tricky because it doesn't come out with the Blu-ray of Iron Man 3. It comes out with the Blu-ray of the Thor: The Dark World. But I'm going to put it here because it just feels it should be at the end of Iron Man 3 and not put it when it came out. And then we get into our first TV show, which is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it deals with the extremis powers and a lot of other powers. It's really all confusing with that show, and the first season isn't really all that good, but it takes place, all episodes 1 through 7 takes place after Iron Man 3 and before The Dark World, so there you go. And then obviously it is Thor: The Dark World, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes 8 through 16, which starts off with them cleaning up the events of Thor: The Dark World. Now, next one, I'm going to cheat just a little bit with the Marvel one-shot Agent Carter and put it right before Captain America: The Winter Soldier, so you could get a brief history on the beginning of S.H.I.E.L.D. and right before the downfall of it. So then the next one after the Marvel one-shot Agent Carter is obviously Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and that's a pretty big event in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and will change a lot, even for the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then after the Captain America: Winter Soldier, you get back into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with episodes 17 through 22, and then you get into Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's where I'm going to stop for now, because right after Guardians of the Galaxy it starts to get a bit tricky with the Daredevil TV show and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show and Jessica Jones, so I'm going to save that for a later date. Alright, that's my Marvel timeline. Comment below and let me know what you think about it. Hit that like button if you like this video, and subscribe if you're new. See you next week.